What's going on, guys? Finally have an EVO vlog for you. I'm definitely rusty on doing these, so hopefully I can get through it all in one take. Just woke up a little bit late on the way to work right now. I figured it'd be a good time to make the video because unfortunately I had to travel to go visit some family on a last minute emergency, so I am kind of behind on my sleep schedule and stuff. So anyway, I'm going to finally be taking this opportunity to do the a year and a half, give or take, since 668 wheel horsepower video. So I'm going to go ahead and get the car started. And yeah, what we're going to be doing in this video is going for a drive, just cruising around talking. I'm going to be going over everything that has happened with the car since I've gotten up to that power level, like I said, about a year and a half ago. Any issues I've encountered, any wear and tear I've noticed, and just going over the whole overall ownership experience, drivability, and ultimately do I recommend it, just things like that. So currently I am very low on 85 because I have a very, very bad batch of it in my car right now, so I'm trying to drain that out at the moment. So I won't be driving too aggressively in this video. I do apologize for that. I know lots of you guys love seeing pulls and stuff with this car, but it'll be included in the review video. I also am wanting to do new spark plugs and the compression test, which I mentioned in the video last time, but unfortunately Mitsubishi was only able to get me plugs for like $110 for the set because my previous Connect was not working there anymore. So I ended up having to order them online, and they showed up yesterday. So hopefully I'll be on track to do it this weekend because you know, I like to do the plugs about every year or so, depending on the mileage I put on the car. So it's about time I do the plugs, and like I said, may as well do the compression test while I'm at it, so wouldn't hurt. And also need to do an oil change. So the car does need a little bit of maintenance, so I'm honestly just not really in the mood to be beating on it, because if you guys know me, you'll know how I am about my maintenance and stuff, which I think why the car has lasted me partially as long as it has without any issues. That, and because the shop I go to, 5150, happens to know what they're doing when it comes to EVOs and big power. So as you can tell right now, I'm kind of cruising around, and drivability wise, the car kind of lugs a little bit in low gears and low speeds, but I mean that's just kind of to be expected. It's not anything horrible, but I thought I would bring it up just because it was happening on video. So I don't want to try this into a review. I'm just going to talk about my experience. So wear and tear parts, things I've noticed that have broken. Oh, there's a cop right there. Roll down those windows. But anyway, it's always so scary driving by a cop, not gonna lie. So the first wear and tear part I want to mention is my tires. The tires I had on the car previously were Hankook S1 Nobles, which are essentially a newer version of the V12 EVO, which most of you will know it as kind of like an Econo tire, sort of something I put on the car initially just to get me by, until I decided what I was going to be doing with the car, power and like wheel wise. Like when I put them on, I just kind of thought it'd be something to get me over, and they did work very well while I was on the stock turbo. Never had any issues with grip. But the second I went onto the big turbo, I would spin through fourth gear, as you guys would see on video. Everyone would say it was like I was lying or whatever about it, but I mean, anybody that's been in this car, and there have been a lot of you guys who I know are watching this video who have been in this car, I mean, you guys can vouch and say it was definitely spinning. So I currently on the car put Michelin Pilot Super Sports, and ever since I did that, the car hooks 100 times better and feels like a rocket compared to how it did before. The only issue is that I still have some negative camber in the front, which I'd really like to get rid of, but I ordered some Vorschlag camber plates, and I ordered them about 3 months ago at this point because they said that they were in stock. And if you guys know Vorschlag, you'll know that they are like never in stock of their EVO parts, or really any parts for that matter. And the guy was telling me how, oh yeah, it's in stock, it's in stock. Ordered it, never showed up. Found out they'd canceled it without telling me because I guess they're out of stock. So what a surprise. And by this point, I've unfortunately been doing pulls on the tires, so I'm probably getting a little bit of camber wear, but hopefully it's not anything too crazy. I'm considering maybe some ground control camber plates. So yeah, moral of the story is the tires were shredded down to the wire, if you guys are on my Instagram, which is, I think, contributing to the power and because of the camber. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll see the picture. If I can remember, I'll try to throw it up on screen. So that was the first thing I noticed that was wearing one from when I bought the car. Well, I shouldn't say that. After day one, after I did the fluid and the heavier weighted shift knob. Clutch still feels good. It gets a little bit weird depending on how hot or cold you have it. If you have the clutch really heated up, it does feel different than it does when it's cold and it's fresh out of your garage. Which is just something that takes getting used to. This clutch, I've said from day one, I hate it, but I'd buy it 100 times over again. It's great for what I bought it for, which is holding power. Daily driving it, yeah, you can do it and get away with it, but it isn't the most enjoyable experience. But then again, back when I was driving this car like 6-7 days a week, I was getting used to it pretty quickly. But now that I drive it maybe 3 or 4 days a week, I kind of lose my rhythm a little bit in between. Just depends on the day, honestly. So yeah, clutch has been holding up. The brakes, as you guys know or may not know, I upgraded to the StopTech BBK 6-piston brake kit with 4 pistons in the rear when I did the turbo upgrade, and I haven't seen any like really, brake wear or fade. So I mean, I have braked pretty hard in the car. I've taken some canyons relatively aggressively, and I really haven't seen any issues with the brakes. So I mean, the only reason why I really been that up is like a power to like wear out thing, just because the more power, the more prone I am to be going faster, which requires more stopping power to stop quickly. So really, like I said, there's no other issues that I've noticed that have worn out. I haven't had like any couplers blow up or blow off. Haven't had like any boost leaks or anything. The car has been really solid. I just really haven't had to do much to it to keep it running. I did say, like I mentioned, that it's time to do plugs. I just did my drivetrain fluids on the car a couple months back, and it was about a year when I did those, so I still am doing like my yearly cycle, or every 10,000 miles ish, for the drivetrain fluids. So I just did those at 5150. But yeah, I mean, aside from just doing basic like oil changes and drivetrain fluids and spark plugs and stuff like that, I mean, there really hasn't been anything like special about the car. Acceleration wise, the car feels just as fast as it did when I first got it. The only drawback I've experienced is when I switched my catback exhaust from the Top Speed Pro 1 to the Q300, my AFRs have been kind of off ever since then, which is to be expected, but they've never been back to normal. I've never gotten the car like retuned since, and I've taken, so I'm just trying to like gather my words right here. So I mean, like I said, they've been kind of off, nothing horrible. I used to be at like a 12.4, 12.5 AFR at open throttle when I initially got the car back and had the top speed on the car. But I've had the Q300 on the car for majority of the time, and my AFRs are like mid to high 11s, depending on what gear and what RPM I'm in. I'll like dip into the 12s at the lower RPMs, but it usually has a nice taper into like the 11s, as it should. So like I said, I've still done a dyno jet, like virtual dyno run on it, and it's still making like right around the same power depending on the temperature and altitude and everything. So I mean, car still runs really well. It pulls very hard all the way to 8,000 RPMs. Revs smoothly, really no issues there. The cams and everything are great. I love the sound of them. I wish it was a little bit more lopey, but my tuner always jokes with me that I'm not a V8, so I don't need more lope, and it's true. I mean, as much as I would love it, you technically, I don't think you should have lope, if I'm not mistaken. If you have tons of lope, it sounds really cool, but I don't think that means that, I don't think you should have lope if your car is running like perfectly. But sorry guys, I guess I'm kind of coming down with something. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just kind of running out of things to say. I mean, the car has just been great, honestly. I've only lost, I think it was one race so far, and it was to a GTR with a fully built motor and trans and upgraded turbos, making over 800 to the wheel. And yeah, I mean, I lost when I was on my hand-cooked tires, so I really am not too torn up about that, because initially I was in there for about 2 seconds, maybe, before he took off and just disappeared into the night. So, yeah, I mean, that's really the only loss I've had in this car. Other than this, I mean, this car has held its own. I've been against several vets that are above 800 horsepower to the wheels. I mean, just twin turbo Z's, like lots of cars. I did raced some twin turbo 370Zs, and that was probably the closest race I've ever had in this car. Those things were fast. I don't know what they were pushing, but once again, I was on my old tires, so not really using it as an excuse, but either way, the car is a lot faster now when it has the good tires on them, or on it. I did have, at one point, actually, the one issue I had with the car was, and forgive me guys if I'm sort of rambling, you know, like I said, as you guys know, I'm kind of back from my break from doing YouTube, and I am a little bit more rusty than I used to be on, like, car stuff in general. You know, the more and more I make videos, the more I'll get back to being back in the groove of things, but, you know, I'm trying for you guys, so forgive me on that. But as I was saying, I did have an oil return line come a little bit loose. I believe it's the oil return line that connects to the valve cover, and it came a little bit loose, and I noticed I was leaking a little bit of oil from there, but all that really needed was just tightening it down, and hasn't been an issue since. My FPR hose has been good. Like I said, the couplers have been good on the intercooler. I really haven't noticed any issues. I mean, it's been solid. A lot of people spread rumors that this car blew up quite some time ago when I was on my break, and I mean, I'm here to tell you guys that is far from the truth. The car was still being driven, it just wasn't being driven as much, and I was working. So I mean, anybody that knows me or knows this car in person, they all know, I mean, when it comes time to build this motor eventually, I could show you guys the stock internals when I crack it open, but even then there'd be people that would say, oh, that's not your original motor, that's someone else's motor. So you can really never win, to be honest. It's just kind of at this point where, I mean, I have nothing to prove. I'm just kind of, the goal that I've sort of taken on with this car is to help show the EVO community kind of what the limits of the 4B11 are, and pushing and seeing like what the true boundaries are, because prior to doing this build, even my stock turbo tune was way over what the accepted numbers were. Prior to doing my stock turbo tune, which was, geez, 3 years ago, which is hard to believe, people were saying that 350 torque to the wheels was like your max number on a dyno jet, and like 390 to maybe 400 horsepower was like your max. And my car on stock turbo is making, I think, 430 torque to the wheels on a dyno jet, and like I think 413 horsepower. So my car's always been above like the standards or whatever, and it's never given me an issue. And stock turbo, some people will argue that it's actually more dangerous than a big turbo is, because of how quickly it builds massive amounts of torque, which the bottom end of the 4B11 does not tend to like. Lots of people say the 4B11 has like pasta for rods, and they're just crazy weak. I beg to differ. You know, one word of advice that I would give to any EVO owner, whether you're stock turbo or whether you're big turbo, it can never hurt, is when you do a pull, you don't want to do pulls below like 3,500 RPMs at the minimum, because if you do that, you're just building so much more torque quickly, whereas if you're in a higher RPM, you're sort of easing the bottom end into the torque curve a little bit more and helping it come on a little bit more smoothly, I believe. So that's what I've always done in my cars, and I've never had an issue. I swear by that, and you know, my tuner agrees. So that's why I would suggest, you know, I know a lot of people just mash on the gas from like 3,000-ish, and like when you do dyno tunes on your car, you are flooring it from like 2,000, 3,000 RPMs, and that's why dyno tuning is so hard on your car. And a lot of tuners will say that if your car is supposed to blow up, it would blow up on the dyno, unless it just wears out over time. Because if there was like a mechanical issue that was wrong, it would present itself on a dyno, because the car is being pushed so hard on the dyno. So moral of the story, do your pulls from higher RPMs. I'm not saying you have to start your pull at 6,000 and shift at 7. Just keep it above 35, 4,000-ish, and that's what I would suggest. I've talked about it before, but since we're doing this year-and-a-half later video, I'll talk about it again. Maintenance. Maintenance is key on any car, especially a car with big power. You want to do your oil changes every 2,500 to 3,000 miles. That's being more on like the anal side, but hey, it's cheap insurance for me. Even if you use good oil. I like to use VR1 Racing Synthetic in this car, which I put in the car once I did the big turbo. And for drivetrain fluids, I use the Redline Cocktail for the transmission, and then I think it's the Dia Queen, I believe, for the diff and the T-case. your drivetrain fluids, but it is so worth it because, you know, keeping up on your maintenance is very cheap insurance. I can't iterate that enough. So I guess then, before I wind this video out to be way longer than it needs to be, like, what do you need to do to get to this power level, and do I recommend it? The first thing you need to do is find a tuner. I always recommend 5150. They're the only shop literally to ever have touched my car in the 3 years of ownership I've had it. I've never had an issue. They know what they're doing. Solid guys. Wouldn't recommend any other shop. There's other great shops out there, but I say don't fix what's not broken. They're cool guys. They're my friends. I'd always recommend them. So, yeah, I would find a good tuner, and make sure they know what they're doing. Make sure they understand what your goals are, and make sure you tell them how you're going to be driving the car. Are you going to be tracking it, daily driving it? Lots of straight line pulls. You know, what are you doing with the car? Make sure they know what you're going to be doing with it. After that, source your parts. Don't cheap out here. You know, I'm not saying if you're buying like hosing, yes, you can go to AutoZone and buy some hosing. You don't have to go to Mitsubishi and buy OEM hoses. But turbos, downpipes, you know, piping is piping. But when it comes to like mechanical moving parts, don't cheap out, please. Don't buy an eBay turbo. Don't do anything stupid like that. Buy good parts, because it's going to come back to bite you eventually. You might be the one person that's lucky, but most of the time it'll come back to bite you, and you're going to be kicking yourself when you have a way more expensive bill than it would have been if you just bought quality parts from the start. So find a good tuner, get good parts, and take care of your car. Enjoy it. You know, when I take this car out, I'm doing pulls 9 out of 10 times. This is a rarity, and I feel stupid for not doing it the one time I'm making a video for you guys in the car, but like I said, this is what I feel comfortable with. I don't feel comfortable doing pulls in the car right now, so I'm sorry. They'll come later once I get everything all done maintenance-wise on the car, because as you guys know, spark plugs are one point in the EVO where if the tip breaks off, you end up with a really bad motor. And I don't know how my spark plugs look in the car right now, but they are a little bit on the older side, so I just want to check them to make sure, you know, it wouldn't hurt. And I don't know why this guy's getting out of his car. Uh-oh. You guys might get some World Star on video right now. But, yeah, so as I was saying, you know, I will do videos of a review of this whole setup. This video wasn't meant to be a review so much. It was meant just to be an update of sort of how the car has treated me, any issues I've had, and just things like that. So I will do a review, which will obviously have to have polls in it. If you are a subscriber, I've been known to give subscribers rides in the car. If you see me at a meet, see me out, you know, most of the time if I'm not going to or from work, or if I'm not in the middle of something, I will pull over, talk to you guys, and, you know, probably even give you a ride in the car. So that's just kind of how it goes. I will be at Mitsu Fest this year, or I mean Mod, I'm sorry, assuming they still have it, because I know last year I did miss it due to work. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I've really been enjoying the car, guys. I just can't say it enough. The only gripes I've had about it are the same gripes I've had about it since I bought the car, which is that for somebody my height, this car is not the perfect setup, steering wheel wise and seat wise. If you noticed, my seat is really far forward, and my knees are like really bent, and my legs are pretty cramped. But I have to do this so that my arms can reach the steering wheel, and that is a big wing on that Z. But anyway, guys, this video is dragging on to be way too long. I just figured that you guys would enjoy it since it is an EVO video. You know, I'm gonna get all that stuff done this weekend, I hope. I will try to film it, keep you guys updated. You know, I'm always about being transparent with this car. Like I said, just showing the EVO community what this car can do. And yeah, I mean, if there's an issue, I will let you guys know. But like I said, the only issue I've had with the car really is the oil pan, and that was my fault. So, for stripping out the bolt. So yeah, I'll also try to remember to put on the footage. Actually, if I can find it, I'll put the footage on screen now of the internals of the motor when we took off the oil pan, of what we could see from that angle. We filmed and recorded all around. So I'll put that up on screen now if I can remember. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's my first EVO vlog in a while. And yeah, there is more to come. I'm trying to do one video a week, trying to stick to that schedule, but I have had lots of family issues recently, some deaths and people getting ill, so I've been having to travel a lot, which has been cutting into my schedule. But if there's any questions, you can always leave me a comment, and I'll do my best to respond. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and take it easy.